So I know that I'm a few hours late with this review. The new Dragon Ball Heroes episode 19 dropped about 4 or 5 hours ago. It might have been a little bit more than that. I just got back from Japan. I had a 11.5 hour flight with an hour and a half because of a delay. I was stuck at the airport for an hour and a half on the plane. So it was about 12.5 hours, and I immediately passed out when I got here. I'm not even at home yet. I'm still in Chicago for another 2 days because connecting flights are a bad idea, I feel, most of the time because of stuff like this. So, not home yet, but I did catch Dragon Ball Heroes episode 19. I want to do my review on it here on the road until I get back in 2 days to my, I guess, my home, aka office, whatever. So, first thing I want to do is clarify a big misconception going on here. There is no Dragon Ball Heroes Season 2. People have been using that term incorrectly. Dragon Ball Heroes is a promotional anime that puts out episodes every 1 or 2 months, sometimes every 3 months, and there's a break between them, and that's it. It's not a seasonal anime. It doesn't have a seasonal break or anything like that at all. It has arcs, and the arc that we're in right now, the Universal Survival arc, or the Universal Conflict arc, the Universal Conflict arc is the second arc in Dragon Ball Heroes. The third one is the one that's being promoted coming up, whenever it comes out. But there is no Season 2. That is incorrect verbiage to use. It's never been renewed or anything like that. If anything, this is the third arc coming up, not the second. So this episode is supposedly going to put an end to this whole story. And we left off with Gogeta being formed, Gogeta Blue. And Gogeta Blue is battling Hearts. And Hearts throws like a meteor at him. And Gogeta Blue, in a pretty decently animated scene, I got to say, he was able to fire a blast back. And we have like a situation here that's kind of like the fight with Cell, where the other fighters get involved to help Gogeta. And, again, I've said it every month, there's no sense in power scaling heroes. If you're using heroes to power scale like Dragon Ball Super or Z or whatever, you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what Heroes is. This is not meant to make sense. And I'm not kidding when I say that. This is not meant to make sense. It's only meant to promote the cards. I did get to play Heroes when I was in Japan, though, and I have footage of that coming up that I'm sure I'll post here on the channel. But if you play the Switch version, it's essentially the same game. It's just that the arcade version has more features. But there's no sense in making sense of the power scaling here because it's not supposed to make any sense. Okay, don't forget that golden meta cooler beat freaking Cumber. Again, don't even listen to anybody who tries to incorporate that into like Dragon Ball Super and say that, oh well, Gogeta Blue is stronger than this guy or that guy. It's Heroes, all right? And this idea that a meteor is going to hurt Gogeta, come on. This is a multiversal tier, fused warrior. It's not going to happen. Now, there's one line in the episode during their little, scuffle where Heart says that he's the ultimate incarnate, the very universe itself. And I'm like, wait a minute, buddy. No, you are not. That's what Zamasu did at the end of his arc in Dragon Ball Super. And Zamasu Heart is not. He's just a wannabe. And it's silly. That line was silly, I thought, but it's typical, twirly mustache villain. Hearts is not really anything more than just that, I feel. And that's okay, because Dragon Ball was kind of lacking that for Super. Most of the villains were actually not even really villains, except for Frieza and Goku Black, right, and Damasu. Jiren, not really a villain. Beerus, not really a villain. I mean, he was an antagonist, but not a villain. Broly, of course, they're not bad people inherently. Hearts is, but he's a simple twirly mustache type of character. Like I've said before, when it comes to Heroes, conceptually, the ideas are usually pretty decent. It's just the execution that's garbage. And right here, for example, we have this scene where Jiren, Gogeta Blue, and Hit together form this triple beam that's like a twirling, like a barbershop window type of little twirly attack that they do together. Now, the idea of Gogeta teaming up with Jiren and Hit against a major villain, that's a great idea. That's one that a lot of folks want, that I certainly have wanted, and it's very cool to see that shot of the three of them together. Like, that's a cool shot, right? But it's like, man, it got wasted on Heroes. Couldn't there have been like a movie or something to have given us this scene executed better, with this kind of lackluster animation? But this episode was an improvement visually over the last one. Then we have this scene of 17 Piccolo and Trunks helping out. And again, all this stuff is all well and good, but I couldn't really care. Like, they haven't done a good enough job with this series, if you want to call it that. Which, again, how could they? It's 8-minute episodes, right? They haven't done a good enough job to make me care about this angle, or this, I guess, angle of this storyline. And it's, again, great idea, but it's just not something that I think worked out as efficiently as it would have if it was actually drawn out better and maybe built up better. So then Gogeta does this like miracle punch or whatever, and Hearts just shatters and dies. Like, that's it. That's the end of Heart. Again, very empty execution. It was just whatever to me. And then Hearts is basically saying, he gives this speech about how he has respect for mortals because of their willingness to break through limitations, which we've heard before, but except, unlike Zamasu, I guess Hearts came around on mortals. It's interesting, though, because, he brings up how Zeno could, in an instant, wipe out the universe, and he wants to relieve them of that, but it's like, okay, like, did you not know that Goku and Zeno are friends? He's not going to do that without provocation, you know what I'm saying? So, it's whatever. I mean, I kind of get the motivation there, but maybe it's too little too late if you ask me. Still, though, his death I thought was a little bit anticlimactic, although I did enjoy the punch, though. When he punched him and it ripped through his back, that was very old school Dragon Ball Z movies kind of beat, like victory, you know what I mean? Like it reminded me of that. Now, the episode ends with one of probably my favorite scene in Heroes history as far as the promo anime goes. Zeno playing hide and seek with himself and having Beerus and Champa there, or at least I think he's playing with Beerus and Champa. I don't really understand. It could be with himself or with Beerus and Champa. To me, is awesome. Like, that childlike Zeno and all that I loved it. That was, to me, it put a big smile on my face. That was the highlight of this episode and the highlight of really Heroes so far. Then we have something really stupid. So afterward, Jiren asks Goku, or Gogeta, I'm sorry, he asked Gogeta, if you're that strong, why didn't you fuse your tournament of power? And then they have this little line where Goku and Vegeta are like, Vegeta's like, I don't want to fuse with this buffoon or this, that, what he always says. It's kind of a repetitive thing, even though he's been forced to fuse like several times at this point, especially in Heroes. Let's not forget, these guys fused at the beginning of the series, at the beginning of the promo anime. And it's like, just kind of rehashed BS stuff there. I thought it was kind of a lazy attempt at comedy, if I'm being honest right now, and one that really at this point makes no sense because they've fused so many times. Like I said, there's no sense in that. I don't know. And then Goku says, that he'll deal with it himself next time. But it's like, dog, you had Ultra Instinct and you still didn't win. Even Ultra Instinct wasn't enough. And obviously there's reasons for that. It wasn't really power based, but how are you going to deal with it yourself? I guess he's going to get his blue form stronger or figure out how to master Ultra Instinct. I don't know, because the timeline of this, series, Heroes, it makes no sense because we don't know when Dragon Ball Super Broly happens, if it's before or after this. Now we assume it's before this because Goku and Vegeta already know the fusion pose. So you would assume that'd be the case, but they're also incorporating movie villains into this. So is there like a movie continuity involved here? Is this a separate, again, this is a separate universe. This Goku and Vegeta are not the same exact ones that were in Dragon Ball Super. And if you remember that, it's a lot easier to digest and understand this franchise, or at least this promo anime. But it's one of those things where it's also kind of a dumb question, because where are they going to find the time to fuse? They're sitting there trying to figure this out, and I'm over here wondering, okay, would there have been enough time for Goku to teach Vegeta the fusion pose during Tournament of Power, and would Jiren have allowed them to do so? I guess maybe he would have, because he wants to test himself against the best fighters, and maybe it would have been a good idea there in the final moments of the tournament to use the fusion pose before Vegeta got booted out, but I felt like it was just another chance of them kind of rehashing that joke again. The episode ends with the appearance of Few once again, who says he wants to start up another experiment. So that's going to lead to wherever this series is going next. There's a special episode coming out in February, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So, hey, it's Dragon Ball Heroes. It's a promotional anime. This episode was an improvement over the last episode tremendously. but at the same time, it still wasn't that great. It was rushed and sloppy, and the same thing that Heroes has kind of become. So if you like Heroes, I don't know how you could like this, honestly. I mean, I guess if you like cool moments, I guess, like if you like one or two animation shots per episode that are kind of nice looking or decent art, I guess you can like it. I mean, the characters we all love. We love the characters, but they never get to do anything interesting except just random fights and power ups that only last one episode. So to me, it's just, I'm only covering it because, I feel like I need to cover it here on the channel. I don't really enjoy watching Heroes. I'm just being honest with you. I don't really like watching it, but I do like talking about it with y'all. So I will continue to do so because I do hope that it improves. And we saw some great animation cuts in the past, and we saw some great fights in the past. Not many, but they're there. So I'm hoping that maybe we get more of that in the future. Anyways, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments what you thought about Heroes episode 19. See you soon.